My beloveds, there comes a moment in every person's life when the heart whispers, "There is more for you." It is a gentle but relentless calling. You may hear it at the break of dawn when the world is quiet, or in the silence after a long day's labor. That whisper is not a guarantee of success. It is an invitation to rise. The truth is, success does not arrive unannounced at your door. It does not wander through the streets looking for a home. It must be summoned, prepared for, and earned. Success is born where preparation meets persistence. It is not some dazzling miracle that descends from the sky. It is the patient work of tired hands, the sleepless nights of thought, the courage to step forward when no one applauds. People may see the light at the end of your journey, but they will rarely see the dark hours of practice, the lonely sacrifices, the tears swallowed in silence. Yet it is in those hidden moments that greatness grows. Each day offers you two choices: remain where you are or rise toward what you dream. Hard work is not punishment. It is the bridge between who you are and who you long to become. Every early morning you wake before the sun, every time you stay steady when others quit, every refusal to accept mediocrity, these are the bricks that build your path to success. Remember, even the seed that becomes a mighty tree must push through the dark soil before it greets the light. So must you push through your fears, your doubts, and your weariness. Hard work is not always glamorous, but it is always transformative. It sculpts character, fortifies spirit, and prepares you to stand tall when the opportunity comes. Do not be discouraged if the world does not notice your labor immediately. Keep working, keep sowing, keep believing. Success respects persistence. When you give your best day after day, you are planting a harvest that no one can take from you. And when your breakthrough comes, and it will come, you will know it was not luck or chance. It was your sweat, your courage, and your unshakable faith. Success becomes sweeter when you can trace every step back to your effort, when you know you built your dream with your own hands. So today, rise, work harder than yesterday, choose discipline over distraction, choose faith over fear. Success is waiting, but it is not coming by itself. You must go to it with determination, courage, and an unrelenting will to achieve. Discipline over desire is not about silencing your hopes or denying your heart. It's about honoring them enough to show up for them every single day. Desire is the spark that ignites your dreams, but discipline is the steady flame that keeps them burning when the winds of distraction blow. Many of us love the feeling of inspiration, the rush that comes with a new idea, the excitement of a new goal, the thrill of imagining ourselves already there. But inspiration is fleeting. It's like a burst of sunlight on a cloudy day. Discipline, on the other hand, is the habit of showing up when the sky is still gray, when there's no applause, and when your mood says not today. We live in a world that celebrates quick wins and instant gratification. We scroll through images of other people's highlight reels and begin to believe that success is effortless, that it just happens to certain people. But behind every achievement you admire is a series of quiet choices. Discipline is choosing to keep your promises to yourself, even when nobody is watching. It's setting your alarm for the early morning because you know your future self will thank you. It's skipping the easy shortcut because you know deep down it will cost you something later. Desire without discipline is like planting seeds and never watering them. The soil may be rich, the seed may be good, but nothing will grow without consistent care. Discipline is not glamorous. It is often boring, repetitive, and uncelebrated, but it is also freeing. When you practice discipline, you free yourself from the chaos of whims. You build trust with yourself. You stop depending on momentary motivation because you have created a rhythm, a structure, and a sense of integrity. Many people think of discipline as punishment, but it is actually an expression of self-respect. It's saying, I matter enough to invest in my own growth. You don't develop discipline by shaming yourself. You develop it by creating small, intentional actions that align with your values. When you start small, a daily walk, 5 minutes of focused writing, an evening spent learning instead of scrolling, you build a foundation. Over time, those small actions compound into something extraordinary. There is also courage in discipline. It takes courage to do the hard thing today instead of waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. It takes courage to say no to distractions, to comfort, to the things that everyone else seems to be doing. When you practice discipline, you are not just moving toward a goal, you are shaping the kind of person you become. You are telling your brain, I can be counted on. That kind of self-trust is rare and powerful. Of course, desire still matters. It's the emotional energy that calls you forward. Without it, discipline turns into dry duty. But when you let discipline lead and desire support, you create a sustainable path. Think of it as a dance. Desire steps forward with vision. Discipline steps forward with commitment. Together, they move you toward a future you can be proud of. There will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be days when your desire fades and your energy is low. In those moments, discipline carries you. You keep showing up because you've made a decision, not because you feel like it. That's where real change happens, not in the bursts of excitement, but in the steady, ordinary work that no one else sees. And there's a quiet joy in this. When you lean into discipline, you start to notice small victories, a habit that feels easier, a skill that feels more natural, a challenge that used to scare you but now feels manageable. Those victories build momentum. They remind you why you started. They renew your desire in a deeper way. Not just a rush of emotion, but a grounded confidence that you are capable of following through. This is why discipline over desire is not a harsh rule, but a compassionate practice. It is about taking your dreams seriously enough to build a structure around them. It is about understanding that feelings come and go, but commitments can anchor you. It is about choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort again and again. If you've ever struggled with consistency, you're not alone. Most of us have. The shift comes when you stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline as a habit. It doesn't happen overnight. You'll falter, you'll forget. But every time you return, every time you keep the promise to yourself, you are rewiring your sense of identity. You are becoming someone who does the hard things, who shows up, who doesn't just dream but does. In the end, discipline over desire is an act of love. Love for your future self, love for your potential, love for the life you know you're meant to live. It's not about grinding yourself down. It's about lifting yourself up step by steady step until the things you once thought impossible become your new normal. Resilience builds greatness, not by shielding us from pain, but by teaching us how to rise from it. It is easy to admire the polished parts of someone's life, the awards, the applause, the confidence that seems effortless. But greatness is rarely born in comfort. It is shaped in the quiet moments when things don't go as planned, when dreams stall, when the world feels too heavy to carry. Resilience is not a single heroic act. It's a practice of coming back again and again, even when the story hasn't yet turned in your favor. We often think of resilience as toughness, as if it means hardening ourselves until nothing can hurt us. But true resilience is softer, deeper, and braver than that. It is not about building walls, but about building capacity. It's allowing ourselves to feel the disappointment, the frustration, even the heartbreak, and still choosing to move forward. It's knowing that failure does not define us, that our worth is not up for debate just because we're in a hard season. Resilience grows from self-compassion as much as it does from perseverance. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has had to develop resilience. They faced setbacks, criticisms, and moments of doubt that could have stopped them. What separates them is not that life was easier for them, but that they allowed difficulty to deepen their character instead of shrinking it. Resilience is like a muscle. It strengthens with use. Each time you face a challenge and recover, you're not just surviving it, you're expanding your capacity to meet the next one. It's also important to acknowledge that resilience doesn't always look like getting up right away. Sometimes it looks like resting. Sometimes it looks like crying. Sometimes it looks like asking for help. These are not signs of weakness. They are acts of courage. They are part of the process of gathering yourself so you can rise again. Resilience isn't about never being knocked down. It's about allowing yourself to be human while still believing in your ability to heal and grow. Greatness, then, is not an end point. It's not the medal, the title, or the big moment. Greatness is who you become on the way. When you choose to get back up, to stay in the arena even when it's uncomfortable, you're shaping your integrity, your empathy, and your courage. You start to recognize your own strength, not the kind that pretends everything is fine, but the kind that knows everything is not fine and chooses to keep going anyway. There is also a quiet dignity in resilience. You stop needing everything to go perfectly. You stop believing that struggle means you're doing it wrong. Instead, you begin to see struggle as a sign of growth, as proof that you are daring to stretch beyond what is familiar. Resilience teaches patience. It teaches humility. It helps you hold on to hope without clinging to an exact outcome. And this is where greatness is built in the small, unglamorous acts of staying present, learning from mistakes, showing kindness to yourself and others, and taking the next step. You may not even realize it while it's happening, but every time you stand up after a setback, you're laying another stone in the foundation of your character. Years later, you'll look back and see how those moments of resilience gave you the strength to carry responsibilities, to lead with compassion, to hold steady when others waver. It's also worth remembering that resilience doesn't mean going it alone. In fact, resilience thrives in connection. When you allow yourself to lean on others, to be honest about your struggles, you're not diminishing your strength, you're multiplying it. Relationships become a safety net and a mirror. They help you see the parts of yourself that are still whole, even when you feel broken. This shared courage creates a collective resilience that makes communities, families, and teams stronger. So when you find yourself in the middle of a setback, it's okay to feel the weight of it. It's okay to doubt, to stumble, to take a moment. Just remember that this isn't the end of your story. Resilience is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the willingness to get up one more time, to try again, to trust that even the hardest seasons are shaping you into someone wiser and more capable. Greatness built on resilience has a different texture. It's not brittle or showy. It's grounded, steady, and real. It doesn't crumble at the first sign of difficulty because it was forged in difficulty. It has empathy for others who are still in the struggle because it remembers what that felt like. It knows that winning isn't the only measure of success. Becoming whole, staying true to your values, and showing up for your life even when it's hard are also victories. Resilience builds greatness by making you more than your circumstances. It transforms your setbacks into lessons, your pain into compassion, your failures into a deeper strength. You don't have to be perfect to be resilient. You just have to be willing to rise, to keep learning, to keep showing up for your life. And as you do, you'll discover that greatness isn't some distant peak waiting for you. It's already forming inside you, in the quiet courage of each choice you make to begin again. Consistency creates breakthroughs not by magic but by the slow, steady power of showing up. We often imagine a breakthrough as one dramatic moment, a flash of inspiration, a sudden success, an overnight change. In reality, what looks like a sudden leap is usually the result of 1,000 quiet steps taken long before. Consistency is the practice of taking those steps even when they feel small, even when they seem invisible, even when no one else notices. We live in a culture that glorifies the big reveal, the viral moment, the before and after transformation. But no one posts the mornings when you get up early to work on your craft, or the evenings when you choose study over scrolling, or the countless times you repeat a skill until it becomes second nature. Consistency is not glamorous. It is often repetitive, uncelebrated, and lonely. Yet it is also profoundly liberating, because it gives you something that no quick fix ever could. Trust in yourself. When you practice consistency, you stop negotiating with yourself about whether you'll show up today. You make a choice once, and then you honor it with your actions. This isn't about perfection. It's about creating a rhythm that holds you when your mood shifts, when motivation fades, when the work feels hard. Consistency doesn't mean never missing a day or never making a mistake. It means coming back. It means not letting one lapse become a pattern of giving up. What consistency does over time is build momentum. Each action may feel small, but each one lays down another layer of learning, another stitch of self-discipline, another moment of progress. At first, you may not see anything changing. You may even wonder if it's worth it. But consistency is like water wearing down stone, invisible at first, unstoppable over time. Breakthroughs often show up disguised as the boring days when you keep practicing anyway. There is also courage in consistency. It takes courage to keep showing up when the results aren't immediate. It takes courage to invest in something day after day without the guarantee of applause. But with each repetition, you strengthen not just your skill, but your capacity to persevere. You start to internalize a deeper truth, that your worth is not tied to quick outcomes, but to the integrity of your effort. Consistency also builds clarity. When you stick with something long enough, you learn what works and what doesn't. You learn about your strengths, your limits, your blind spots. You begin to adjust, refine, and improve in ways you never could from a single burst of effort. This is why breakthroughs often feel sudden to others, but not to you. You've been preparing for them all along. And there's an unexpected grace in this process. Consistency teaches patience. It invites you to stay present with the work instead of chasing a finish line. It helps you value the process, not just the outcome. You begin to find meaning in the small, ordinary actions that once felt tedious. You notice the subtle progress, a skill that feels easier, a habit that feels automatic, a fear that feels less intimidating. These small shifts accumulate until one day you realize you're not the same person who started. We sometimes confuse consistency with rigidity, but they are not the same. Rigidity is inflexible and punishing. Consistency is steady but compassionate. It allows room for being human, for adapting when life changes, for resting when needed and returning without shame. This kind of consistency becomes a form of self-respect. It's not, I must, but I choose. It's honoring your values, your goals, and your future self enough to keep showing up. Breakthroughs created by consistency have a different quality. They're not brittle or precarious. They're sustainable because they're built on a foundation you've reinforced again and again. You've already practiced the habits, the mindset, the discipline that your next level of success will require. When the opportunity finally appears, you're not scrambling to rise to it. You're already there. This is why the small things matter. The quiet actions, the unglamorous practice sessions, the decisions to show up on an ordinary Tuesday, they're all deposits in the bank of your future. Consistency doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you believe yourself to be. Each time you follow through, you strengthen your identity as someone who keeps commitments, someone who can be counted on, someone who will be ready when the breakthrough comes. If you're in a season where progress feels slow, where the work feels invisible, hold this close. Consistency is not wasted effort. It is the groundwork of transformation. The seeds you're planting today may take months or years to bloom, but they will bloom. And when they do, you'll know it wasn't luck or chance. It was your quiet courage, your steady hands, your willingness to stay the course. Consistency creates breakthroughs not because it's flashy, but because it's faithful. It's a promise you make to yourself and keep day after day. It's how small steps become giant leaps, how ordinary habits become extraordinary results, how you build a life that reflects not just what you dream of, but what you're willing to work for. And in that process, you'll discover that the real breakthrough is not just in what you achieve, but in who you've become by showing up. Sacrifice precedes reward. It's a truth most of us sense but often resist. We want the transformation without the shedding, the growth without the stretching, the harvest without the planting. But every meaningful reward in life asks something of us. First, it asks for time, effort, attention, courage, or comfort. Sacrifice is not about losing for the sake of losing. It's about creating space for something greater to emerge. We tend to picture sacrifice as a grand, dramatic gesture. giving everything up in one sweeping moment. More often, it's quieter and subtler. It's choosing to spend an hour practicing instead of scrolling. It's saying no to an easy option so you can say yes to your deeper values. It's waking up early to invest in a dream no one else can see yet. These choices rarely feel glamorous in the moment. In fact, they can feel inconvenient, lonely, and thankless. Yet they are the soil in which the seeds of reward grow. Sacrifice is an act of hope. You give something now because you believe in what will come later. That belief is not always easy. It takes courage to let go of immediate comfort for the sake of a distant vision. It takes faith to invest energy in a future self who feels far away. And it takes self-respect to decide that your long-term growth is worth more than short-term ease. Each small sacrifice you make is a signal to yourself, I believe in my own future. This is why sacrifice and reward are inseparable. One does not arrive without the other. The athlete who wins a championship has sacrificed countless hours of training. The artist who creates a masterpiece has sacrificed distractions and endured doubt to keep creating. The person who rebuilds their life after hardship sacrifices the familiar in order to heal. The reward is sweeter not in spite of the sacrifice, but because of it. It carries the weight of everything you gave up to make it real. There's another layer to this. Sacrifice isn't just about giving up things you like. Sometimes it means surrendering beliefs, patterns, or identities that once served you but no longer do. It might be the story that says you're not capable. It might be the fear that keeps you from taking risks. Letting go of these inner comforts can feel even harder than letting go of external ones. But these are the sacrifices that lead to the deepest rewards: freedom, self-trust, and growth. It's also important to remember that sacrifice doesn't mean neglecting yourself or your well-being. Healthy sacrifice is intentional and aligned with your values, not self-punishing or performative. It comes from a place of choice, not coercion. When you choose to give up something now, you're not depleting yourself. You're investing in yourself. You're creating conditions for a bigger, richer life. We rarely talk about the emotional side of sacrifice. It can feel isolating when people around you don't understand why you're making certain choices. It can feel discouraging when results don't appear right away. In those moments, it's easy to question whether the trade-off is worth it. That's when self-compassion becomes essential. Remind yourself why you started. Celebrate small progress. Stay connected to people who support your vision. These practices help you stay steady during the waiting season between sacrifice and reward. And then one day, almost quietly, the reward begins to unfold. You realize the skill you've built feels natural. The goal that once felt impossible is now within reach. The inner strength you didn't know you had has become your new baseline. You see the payoff not only in what you've achieved, but in who you've become. You've developed patience, perseverance, and integrity. The reward is external, yes, but it's also internal, a deeper sense of trust in yourself, a stronger connection to your values, a clearer understanding of your own capacity. This is the paradox of sacrifice. While it feels like giving something up, it actually gives something back. It sharpens your focus, it clarifies your priorities, it deepens your appreciation for the rewards when they come. And it reveals strengths and possibilities that might have stayed hidden if you'd always chosen the easy road. So when you find yourself in a season of sacrifice, waking up early, saying no to distractions, letting go of old habits, enduring uncertainty, remember that you're not just losing, you're planting, you're investing, you're laying down a foundation that will hold you when the reward arrives. The gap between what you give and what you receive may feel long, but it is also fertile. Sacrifice precedes reward because transformation requires space. Something has to be released so something else can grow. The reward you're longing for isn't just about the external result, it's about the person you're becoming through the process. When you embrace sacrifice with intention and compassion, you're not only preparing for what's ahead, you're already living into it. And when the reward comes, it won't just be an achievement you can hold. It will be a life you've built with courage, patience, and a steady willingness to give today for the sake of tomorrow. Faith and courage are essential, not because they remove fear or uncertainty, but because they allow us to move forward in the middle of them. We often imagine courage as the absence of fear, a kind of boldness that doesn't flinch. In reality, courage exists only where fear is present. It's the quiet decision to step towards something meaningful even while your heart is racing. Faith works alongside it, whispering that there is more to this moment than what you can see. Together, they become the fuel that carries you through doubt, disappointment, and difficulty. Life inevitably asks us to face situations where the outcome is unclear. The job you're not sure you're qualified for. The relationship you're afraid to risk your heart on. The dream that feels too big to name out loud. In those spaces, logic alone won't get you across. You need faith, a trust that the ground will appear under your feet as you walk. And you need courage, the willingness to take the first step before that ground is visible. Faith is not blind optimism. It's not pretending everything will go perfectly. It's a decision to believe that even if things don't unfold exactly as you hope, there is still meaning, growth, and possibility in the journey. It's what keeps you steady when circumstances are unpredictable. Courage, on the other hand, is not loud bravado. It's quiet resolve. It's showing up at the meeting even though your voice might shake. It's pressing send on the application. It's saying, I'm willing to try, knowing you might fail. We live in a culture that prizes certainty and control. We're encouraged to plan, predict, and manage every outcome. But some of the most important moves in life cannot be managed. They require a leap. They require surrendering the illusion of control. That's where faith and courage come in, not to guarantee success, but to help you live fully even when success is uncertain. And there's something transformative about that. Every time you act with faith and courage, you widen your capacity for life. You discover strength you didn't know you had. You learn that you can survive disappointment, that you can navigate fear, that you can hold your head up even when things don't go as planned. This isn't about becoming fearless, it's about becoming braver. It's about learning to walk with your fear instead of letting it drive. Faith and courage also work in small, ordinary ways. It's the faith to believe your voice matters in a conversation. It's the courage to set a boundary even when you worry it will upset someone. It's the faith to keep practicing a skill when progress is slow. It's the courage to forgive yourself for mistakes. These are not dramatic moments, but together they shape a life of integrity and possibility. Sometimes faith looks like patience. It's staying steady when doors don't open as quickly as you hoped. It's trusting that the work you're doing today, even if unseen, is preparing you for something ahead. Sometimes courage looks like vulnerability. It's telling the truth, asking for help, admitting you don't have all the answers. Neither faith nor courage promises comfort. What they promise is authenticity. They allow you to live in alignment with what matters most to you, regardless of how it's received. There's also a relational side to this. Faith is easier to hold when you're surrounded by people who believe in you. Courage is easier to practice when you see others living it out. Community doesn't remove the risk, but it reminds you you're not alone in it. Sharing your fears and hopes with trusted people can strengthen both your faith and your courage. And then there's the quiet reward that follows. When you act with faith and courage, regardless of the outcome, you build self-trust. You begin to see yourself as someone who will show up for your own life. You stop waiting for guarantees and start creating possibilities. That self-trust becomes a foundation for everything else, your work, your relationships, your dreams. It becomes a steady voice inside you saying, I can handle this, I can do hard things. I can take the next step. A faith and courage are essential because they open doors that fear keeps closed. They make room for growth that comfort never will. They do not erase the challenges or the setbacks, but they transform how you move through them. They help you trade a life of safety for a life of meaning, a life of hiding for a life of showing up. So if you're standing on the edge of something unknown, if you're hesitating, because you can't see the whole path. Remember this, you don't have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. You don't have to have every answer before you begin. All you need is enough faith to believe that stepping forward is worthwhile, and enough courage to take the step while your knees are still trembling. Over time, those steps add up to a life that feels whole, authentic, and alive, a life built not on the absence of fear, but on the steady practice of moving through it. And so, as we reach the end of this journey together, remember that the truths we have walked through are not distant ideals, but living choices. Success does not arrive like a stranger at your doorstep. It rises out of your own sweat and belief. Discipline steadies the fire of your desire. Resilience turns your stumbles into stepping stones. Consistency lays the path brick by brick until the breakthrough appears beneath your feet. Sacrifice plants the seeds of reward, and faith with courage lifts you when the road feels long. Hold these truths close, not as rules but as companions. Let them guide your hands, your heart, and your voice. Step forward with the dignity of one who knows that hard work is not a burden but a blessing. That perseverance is not punishment but preparation. When the world grows quiet and no one is watching, keep sowing, keep building, keep believing. Because the life you are shaping, through every early morning, every unseen act of effort, every trembling but courageous yes, is already the proof of your greatness. Rise into it, walk in it, and let the work of your own hands become the song the world hears when you pass by.